and I'm going to be in this purple folder called Adobe Express. And Adobe Express is one of my favorite tools. I
Yay!
love using it. And so, if you're not familiar with Adobe Express, because it has changed names a couple of times, it was Adobe Spark, and recently it was Adobe Creative Cloud Express, which is a mouthful. And so, they changed it or they shortened it to Adobe Express. And they also have a new logo, looks like this, and it's actually on our Klein dashboard, available to all teachers and students. And it is a web-based program, which means you can use Adobe Express on any device, including Chromebooks and iPads. So any of our students can use it all the way from kinder to 12. And so, like I said, it is accessed through the Klein dashboard. And so right here, this is where we're really going to be at this page. It says, how can my students create with Adobe Express? And what I've done is I have created a document for you with the three different types. They mainly have graphics that you can create, videos, or web pages. And so I kind of broke it up into those three different types and then thought about, well, what can students do to show mastery or to show their learning? And so these are some of the things that I came up with. I'm going to let you look at that. You can also click right here and it's going to take you to the actual Google Docs. You can save it into your Google Drive. But the ones that are linked are things that we actually have resources for. Some of them are already in the curriculum container. So the links take you to the curriculum container and you can just click on that gear and copy to your course. Some of them are Google Docs for you. Okay. One that I really love is a 6-word memoir, and we've provided an example for you. I'm going to click on that one. And so this is just an example of the way that students can create a graphic or an image. I actually found this kind of learning pathway about 6-word memoir. And so basically just explains what a 6-word memoir is. And they've been given some examples. And so here's where they can learn about a 6-word memoir. They have more examples. Here's where they get to kind of write their rough draft and kind of play around with how they want to do their 6 words. And then they create, and this is where we go to Adobe Express to create that graphic. And then we publish it together. And this is the big thing is that whenever you do create in Adobe Express, you want to make sure that you publish, that you either download that graphic or you share the published link to the video or the web page. And we'll get into Adobe in just a minute. I just kind of want to show you some of the examples that I found and that we have put here for you. So that's an example of a graphic. I've also given you lots of templates for comic strips. This is a new one that Adobe just came out with, is the name posters. And there is a second page, so make sure you go down to that second page. This activity is one of my favorites. It is the student created word walls, and I love having students create these academic vocabulary word walls. And so you might want to take a look at that one. This one's already in our curriculum container. And then another thing that students can create is a video. And so I love using Adobe Express for student introduction videos, a great way for you to learn about your students at the beginning of the year. You can use them for book reviews, how to, character analysis. I love the video collaborative storytelling. So it gives students a way to be creative, but also collaborate together and work together. I also love the ABC movies, especially for the littles. So I'm going to click on that one, and that one goes to our curriculum container. And it's slowly loading. And so I have everything here for you. So we have the alpha boxes. And this is an assignment. So when you copy it over into your course, it'll look a little bit different. It's more of, it has the assignment look. And so the students would click on My Document to complete one of the alpha boxes. And so that we have a teacher note that once this assignment is in your course, you want to click on one of these templates and add that as a Google Drive assignment. Okay. And so I'm just going to click on that, which takes us again to the curriculum container. And so we've got all of these alpha boxes. So I'll just do the color one. You can see what it looks like. And so what I love to do is we brainstorm as a class together, and we come up with academic vocabulary for the unit that goes with each letter. And then you assign one or two students to each letter to create this alpha or ABC movie. And so then what they would do is they would go into Adobe Express, and you would share the video with the students, and they each have their own slide to create. And I'll show you that here in a minute. And then the web pages, I love them for portfolios. I've given you kind of an example of how a portfolio could look um, in Adobe Express. I also love an About Me page. It's another great way that students can introduce themselves in the beginning of the year. I also really love the science lab reports, and that actually combines an Adobe video with an Adobe web page, which would be like a portfolio. And so students would record themselves doing the science lab, and so for every science lab that they do, they would record themselves and then they would upload it to the web page, which would be their portfolio, and they would provide the lab results and their reflections on the lab. And I actually did a little bit of this. I did the video part with, I want to say second grade at Burnshausen. It was with one of those elementary schools, the Burnshausen. So, these are just some examples, and this I decided to put this in a Google Doc because it's always changing and growing, and we'll be adding links to it. So it's just a great thing to keep in your Google Drive. So I am going to go over to Adobe Express, and like I said, you can go to the Klein dashboard to find it. I have it bookmarked, but I'm going to go ahead and go to the dashboard so I can show you what it looks like. And so I have mine starred. And if you don't know how to star something, you can just right click on the icon and click add to favorites, and it'll star it for you. And it also keeps it down here at the bottom so you can always find your applications. So I'm going to click right here on Adobe Express, and the students would do the exact same thing. Did I click on it? Maybe not. And so the thing that students always want to just do is click right here on the big plus button in the corner. And so if they're creating a graphic, I usually like to tell them just to create a custom size graphic. And if they're creating a video, I usually tell them just go straight to video. And if they're creating a web page or if it's a portfolio, they can click on one of these things. Okay. And so those are the three that I really have people use. So I'm going to just show you the custom size graphic. In fact, I'm going to do this, this activity with you here. Let's see, this fall break is the next page down. So if you click on the link and then create a graphic illustrating what you did over your fall break. So I already created one. So I'm going to create one for Karen because Karen did something awesome over fall
Yay!
break.
Yay!
Yeah, so Karen, unmute yourself and hopefully
I did.
your dogs will participate with
Ugh,
us.
one's laying down here. Shh.
And so I love that Adobe provides all these templates for you to use. And so we're going
Ugh,
to use the name poster and I'm just going to click create from.
love it.
And it's a little slow tonight. It might be my internet. Could be that, we have the Astros game on too.
Mm-hmm. Are they
And what's
still winning?
cool is that you, as the teacher, can actually do this whole process with your student. That if you find a
Oh,
template that you like, or you create your own template, you can um, do the same thing with your students as well, which I love. So everything we're doing, you have the ability to do with your kids.
okay. So I'm just going to just delete a lot of these things. Um, I'm going to change this just by double clicking on the word Katie. I don't have to change too many of the letters.
No, you won't.
Change that to Karen. And I'm going to leave some of those things on there because Karen is a baker. So I know that
Yes.
after she got home from Greece, she couldn't sleep. So she was baking. So she flew to Greece. And I know that there were some beaches
Ah,
at Greece that she
mm-hmm.
maybe stuck her toe in the water.
Yeah, I did that, but didn't. It was a little chilly to get in, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I clicked on photos and then I'm going to search Greece.
Ooh.
And because we have an education account, it already filters the photos so that they are educationally appropriate.
Oh, can I go back?
So we've got some great pictures here. So I know,
Ah,
Karen, you went here,
yeah, find the
and I know you went
Parthenon.
here.
I went there. Yeah, I did. Oh, I went there. Yeah,
Did
I
it add that
did.
picture? Maybe not. There we go.
There it is.
So,
Yay.
what I also like about this is that I can also crop and shape it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
may want to put it into a circle,
Oh, yeah, I like it. Maybe a heart. Do we have any hearts?
hearts. Oh, let's take
Let's
a
get a
look.
heart
And there's a heart.
for
And then I'm going to cut.
Santorini. That was Santorini. I think
That is
I
beautiful.
saw that building. Mm-hmm.
That's so
I think I
pretty.
have a picture of it on my phone. Oh, I like the shapes. What a great idea. And kids could do so much with this. Books that they're reading.
Mm.
Love it.
Vocabulary words that they could be make
Vocabulary.
the,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is similar to the activity of the word wall that you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine. Instead of
Yes.
Karen's name, think about things that you've added with vocabulary, writing your own sentence, even
Mm-hmm.
downloading this graphic, putting it into the video, and then having them speak those
Talk about
sentences.
it.
Oh
I love
yeah.
it.
Or upload it to a discussion board and then just add a recording of yourself using the
Mm-hmm.
sentence or describing your work.
So I'm going to take that a step further, Emily. I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to resize this image, and I'm going to put it into oh, where's a widescreen?
Someone just asked how this can be done with math.
Here.
And Anna, I've actually used Adobe Express quite a lot with math in different grade levels. And so using the graphic, one thing we did, it was a dual language classroom, focusing on that academic vocabulary. So we had our students actually working on that word wall. Another thing they did is they use graphics to represent problems. So a lot of times, in the classroom we use um, the oh my gosh, Karen, you just told me the ten base blocks. Am I saying
Base 10 blocks.
base 10 blocks? So that concept, but then using graphics instead. And then with the video, what I have had students do is actually take different pictures of them solving problems, and then they use their voice to explain what is happening in that process
Yeah,
of the problem.
how they solve that problem.
They would be able
Do
to
a
use this to
tutorial.
create their own word problems as well,
Mm-hmm.
using graphics as support for other students, sharing it, and then having them try out each other's problems.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some ideas.
I think we need a cruise ship on here too.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah. But
Let me add that
but
real
they get
quick.
the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have to.
All right. So then what I'm going to do is as soon as it's done saving, I'm going to download this as a PNG. Okay. And there it goes. So now when I go back to Adobe,
And even think about this for the beginning of the year when they're trying to let the students learn about each other, and they could do something that represents themselves and explains
Mhm.
who they are.
And
and
goal
this
setting
time,
too.
Goal
yep,
settings. Oh, that would be a great one. I like that idea.
I have that on there as a graphic and as a portfolio. Yeah. So click that plus button again, and this time I'm going to do video.
And I know a lot of campuses have set data trackers, but I'm even thinking of those web pages as if you could really personalize what content is going on there. It might not be the same, but you might be able to really customize students with their goal setting and having that go alongside of a data tracker using that web page.
hmm
And so I always tell the kids to start from scratch. I just like it so much better.
hmm It's a blank slate. That's what we love
Mhm.
about student
hmm
creation. It's theirs to create and express themselves, reflect,
hmm
explain their thinking.
Especially because we only need one slide. And
That's
I'm going to click photo, and then I'm going to click upload a photo, and I'm going to upload the one that I just did with Karen, just like that. And then what's great is I can click on this little microphone, and I have 30 seconds to record what I did over fall break. If I need a little bit longer than 30 seconds, what's really great is I can click here and I can duplicate it. And then I can just
ah,
click on the
and just
second
keep going.
microphone and keep going. And they give you a countdown when you,
And
You
the
can
that's
add
what
only
we
thing,
background music. Kids really like it. They can
yes, you
customize
have
it,
the
and
music
it's
up here.
themed music, so it's really cute when some of them pick like the very
and
dramatic songs
and
to
that's
go
what
along.
Emily was talking about with math. Like they could show the stages of that math
Mhm.
problem and now explain that each,
Mhm.
section as you
Or
duplicate your pages, explain
or
and
even
how
making
to
those
solve it.
making real world
Connections.
connections. So
Mhm.
how is what they're doing connecting to something in real life, that and they could come up with it in pairs. They don't have to do it, they don't you don't
Right.
need one to one for these type of activities. These are great
Oh
activities to
yeah.
do
Yeah.
in
For the
pairs.
the kids to work collaboratively
So,
together and
Mhm.
explain their think about a science experiment or a research project. Oh, my dog.
so
She's
I have
come back.
the math all around us and math in the real world right here. And I think, Emily, didn't you have a class do something with math before? We need to get that added onto this document. So,
hmm
Yeah, I think it's already in the curriculum. I might already be in the curriculum container, so we might just need to add it on there.
okay,
hmm
yeah, yeah. So we'll get that added so that you have all of those resources for math.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually
Dog
have done
wants
a
to say
lot of webinars on Adobe and do have a lot of information. Hello.
he has to say hi.
And so we do have that on our website, which is posted on the first page of this course. And so you
She's
can access more information into using Adobe.
Yeah. Emily, are you ready to take over?
I am.
All
Let
right.
me see.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. So I'm going to continue. Okay. You all can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to continue with student creation, but I'm going to dive into another resource, which is Nearpod. And I don't know how many. Go ahead, put in the chat, or let me know. Have you guys used Nearpod before? Because there's something new that you might not know about, that you might be thinking, how can my students be creating if I'm making all these lessons? How is that student creation? And so it is student creation because your students now have their own Nearpod accounts. And so the way that students access those accounts is they log into the dashboard and then they just click Nearpod, and now they have their own accounts here in Nearpod, and they click create, and they go and they create a lesson. And so they are now able to add new content. There is a new interface, but they have all the same features that you have as a teacher, except they don't have access to the pre-made Nearpod lesson. So you don't need to worry about them going through those materials that have already been created. But I'm going to show you some interesting ways that you can use Nearpod, where students are actually really creating content, and it is more than them just creating multiple choice questions. That a lot of times, like when I was in the classroom, that was something that was one of the things that I knew a lot of teachers did, is that, when they wanted their students to create something, okay, you're going to create the test, which is a good practice, but there's a lot more than you can do than just creating multiple choice. So the first thing I want to show you is I pulled this from math. And so this is a choice board, but only one of the activities is Nearpod. And I wanted to make a really simple choice board because I didn't want to make something that took a ton of time. And so it has 3 things. So the first thing is something that isn't actually, I guess you don't do it on the computer. You're using those base 10 blocks, and they're going to solve a problem. And I just pulled these problems right out of the curriculum container. And then I wanted them, just to go with student creation, I wanted them to then create their own problem, and then they could just use a device, take a picture of it, and post it to this discussion board. It gives a little bit of accountability that they have participated in this activity when they're at their station. Another option would be going to that Nearpod. So create a Nearpod lesson. I really like giving them a set amount of activities. You could give them a range as well. I want you to create a Nearpod lesson that uses maybe 3 to 6 activities. So students that are very quick, maybe we'll get to 6, but a student that takes a little bit longer doesn't feel like they failed when they only get to 3, because the range, you give them a range. I also tell the student to share the lesson, because one of the things that they're able to do is they can actually then participate in each other's lessons. So after creating it, they can see what's going on in the lesson. And the last thing I did is I just picked something from ST Math, and I found that this was, I believe, 3rd grade, and they're doing fractions with mixed numbers. They're adding them and subtracting them. And so I found the ST Math standard that was aligned to this TEK, and so all 3 of these activities, they're doing the same content, but in a different way. So they have that choice. But they are going to post at the end. And so I made some example here where I posted the Nearpod code, and I just quickly made one. So I'm going to show you how easy it is for those kids to join it. So I'm just going to copy it. If I can Control C. And then the kids just come, they go to their dashboard, and this is a sample student account. And so this actually is what your kids would see. So they click Nearpod, and when they open Nearpod, they're able to join a lesson right here. So they would just Control paste that lesson in, and they're able to join it. So this would be one way. So you can see, I got to sign in real quick. And you'll see now I have the lesson that the student has created, and it is student paced, so that they're able to just go at their own pace. And here was a video that the student had added. So this is one way that you can just, when would you use this in the classroom? A choice board is a great opportunity. The next way that you could do it is in an assignment. So if it is in an assignment, your students, now yours looks a little different because I don't have a submission button, but they would submit not the same code. I have the instructions here on how they would submit, but when they're let me reopen Nearpod. When they submit it to you, you don't want to have to actually do the Nearpod lesson. And so what they would do is they would actually click these 3 dots, and then they would then do share with teacher, and they'll do the preview only link, because you don't want to have to go in and complete all of the activities. You just want to preview what they have created, as opposed to when they're sharing with each other, they're going to actually make student paste. But I want you to notice that this says student paste, live participation. This is ready to share, but this one says save changes. When I click share with teachers, it's the email. You don't want students emailing you the lesson, that you're going to get way too many emails. And so they need to make sure they save the lesson before they are able to share it. So that's just an important thing, that if a student's not able to share the lesson they've created, they just need to save it. And so now I'm going to show you some examples of what it might look like. So this is an example of vocabulary practice that I've already embedded in Schoology. Your students wouldn't embed it into a Schoology course, but if they do share the lesson with you, and if you really like it and they share the lesson, if a student creates something amazing, oh, I wonder what's going on. Oh, sharing's not available. Well, I'm not sure why that's coming up there, but when they click the editable link, you can actually add it to your library, and then you can you can embed it in Schoology. But I'm going to come back. Oh, I just exited Schoology. Okay, let me come back, and I'm going to show you 3 examples that is more than just multiple choice. So this is an example. I was thinking of a vocabulary word, and I thought of the Frayer model, and I thought, well, what would students be doing in Nearpod if they were going to use the Frayer model, the same thing as that graphic organizer? And I said, well, one of the things often is draw a picture. So I thought, why don't they make a matching activity where they take the vocabulary word, but they draw a picture of the vocabulary word. So here, now I was a Spanish teacher, so I just picked some examples in Spanish. But then other students would be able to do this. So they're practicing, they're drawing, illustrating the vocabulary word. They could be using it maybe in a sentence. They could be writing a synonym. It really is up to you what you make in the assignment. The next example, it's an open-ended question, but it's more than just the student creating an open-ended question. What I did is I had the student write a sentence using the word. I showed them use what words they were using. And I said, and I wrote, listen to my sentence and write your own. But remember, imagine that this was created by a student. So they have to create their own sentence using the vocabulary words, maybe define the word in a sentence, use it in a new way. But then I want them also saying that word. I know the importance of actually saying those vocabulary words out loud. When we think about our dual language students, our students that are taking TELPAS, speaking is one of the areas that our students need a lot of support. And so by having them record their sentence as well, it just gives them that speaking practice, and it's more likely that they will be more comfortable using the vocabulary in the future. So oh, that was not the right thing. I recorded it. That was actually, if you don't know what this is, oh my gosh, the name is slipping my mind. It is, oh, Karen, I know you know it.
Immersive
Immersive
reader.
reader.
Immersive reader. Oh my gosh. Immersive reader is in there. So that was going to play it. But I actually did record the sentence as well. Oh, maybe it's right. Well, I'm not sure where it is, but students do have the ability to record as well. But when the student created this, they are able to record. Oh, I have to answer. And then the last I did was a drag and drop. And so I had the student think, how can I organize these vocabulary words? And so the student created a way for other students to be able to break up the words. So they were able to come up with their own graphic organizer that would organize that vocabulary. So these are some examples of students making assignments and thinking about how they can really think about how could this content be described, and how could it be broken up? How can it be used? You could make connections to real life just using these activities. So this is this could be an ELA, and really every content has academic vocabulary. So these could be ways that they do that within Nearpod. The next way that they can do it is by creating their own video content. So all students that have any sort of device are able to record videos. If they have Chromebooks, they can record on the Chromebook. If they have Windows, they can record on the Windows. But when they make a video in really about anything. It could be about a math problem. It could be about a science experiment. It could be about a social studies topic. It could be about any topic. They are able to upload that video into Nearpod and then create questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you this Nearpod that I created, that this is just an interactive video. So I'm going to go ahead and play it.
we supposed to hear that?
All right. So it's a little hard to hear, but basically I have the video here and it says there's two types of questions in Nearpod. And then we get to right here where this blue dot is, and now a multiple choice question has been added. And so now I have provided content to the teacher, but I've also thought back about how could what's a question that I could ask about what I just explained? So the answer is two. So that's the first type of question that can be created by students or teachers is multiple choice. And then if I continue playing, oh, it doesn't let me skip because I have the setting turned on that they can't skip.
And I love the fact that the kids love the camera. They love making videos. What a great way for them to show their knowledge.
Absolutely. And so the second way is open-ended. So they can really write any sort of question um, in the here in this field. When they do create their video, they can trim the beginning and end. So if they make their video too long, they can shorten it. And then they can add as many questions as they would like throughout the video. One thing I really like is a slide in front of the video that says, just information like in the next slide, you're going to watch a video about this topic. And then you have the video, and then I love having a follow-up activity. And so that could be something that you set up for your students, having that order. A lot of times, the first time you use any resource, I like to do it during the intervention period where students can kind of just play. And so this really applies to both Adobe and to Nearpod, really any tool. The first time they're in it, um, I want them to go do something maybe not academic, but as extremely personalized so they can learn all the features and tools, let them play around. And then once they have, you know, dip their toes in the water, you can give them an assignment. If you want
Hmm.
to learn more about Nearpod, we do have our checklist here. And so if I click on this, it is our checklists are a work in progress, and Nearpod just updated a lot of
Yes.
features. And so some of our checklists do say the old version, and we are in the process of updating
Hmm.
these checklists. It's not so much that we've lost content, it's more that things now are easier to navigate. And so we luckily it should be easy. It should be easy if you go in, things look very similar, but we are updating those videos.
Hmm.
And next month is Nearpod November, and so we're going to have lots of information about Nearpod coming out.
Yep. And our Nearpod challenge in November, where you can participate and enter to win some. We talked to Nearpod today. They're going to send us a bunch of swag for our prizes. So we're excited.
Yes, and we have our Nearpod webinar on the 1st. We
That's
kick things
right.
off with
That's
our
right.
Yeah,
pumpkin spice and everything
yeah.
Nearpod.
So our next, and is that on the front page? Right down here. Um, that on our website. Well, let me just grab to it onto it. So our next webinar coming up, we actually have Nearpod coming in. And so
Hmm.
we need to add their Bitmojis. And so Nearpod is coming. And so it is going to be pumpkin spice and everything Nearpod. So we hope to see you there as well. But let me go back to today. And so if you're in the Schoology course, go ahead and open that discussion board, and we would love to hear from you. And in your classroom, which of these activities or tools do you think you would like to try with your students? And maybe there's something you want to learn more about, but what really interests you?
I do want to say, like, these aren't the only two student creation tools. There are many out there. These are just the two that we've decided to focus on today. They are resources that Klein pays for, so you don't have to worry about um, paying for it for the students to have all the great bells and whistles and things like that. So these are our
Emily,
two
oh,
student
sorry.
creation resources.
The question in the chat, where can they review the recording? Although we, for some reason, this tonight's thing, our recording may be missing a little bit of the beginning, but we did get it turned on. But Emily, do you still have that website up? Can you show them where they go to go back and watch?
Yes. So I go to our digital learning website, and if you don't know, it's actually kisd.us/digilearn, like digital learning. And so that's a really easy way to find it. I know a lot of my teachers bookmark that. But if you go, there's kind of four main tabs in the beginning. There's the on-demand support, webinars. These are upcoming webinars, online courses, and then face-to-face trainings. But where you can go is if it's this year's webinar, we add the recording right on to the webinar. But if it's a recording from the past, it's on the on-demand page. And so we have
Oh,
all of our recordings. I'll go back here. It's under on-demand support, and it is under
there you
where?
go. Okay.
No,
Okay,
it's
Oh, oh
still
my
mine
gosh,
wrong.
right in the middle.
cut
I'm
off.
looking down
So
the two lists, and it's right in the middle under watch now. I can't believe I didn't see that. And you can watch all of our old recordings going all the way back to when it started in 2020, 2021 with Kicking It with Karen and Kaylee.